look at this.
And we are live. Welcome everyone to the H&M Sports Academy. My name is Mo, and this is Harry. We are here tonight to discuss the Monday Night Football clash between the Minnesota Vikings, who travel on the road to the Chicago Bears. Before I get started, I always want to remind everyone to please like, share, and subscribe if you like this content. We are on all platforms for social media, YouTube at HM Sports Academy, Facebook, HM Sports Academy, Instagram, HM Sports Academy, TikTok, HM Sports Academy, and Twitter, X, the HM Sports Academy. Welcome once again. And the one thing I will say to start tonight off is that we've been playing the sport of football since we were 5, 6 years old. It's a game that we love. It's a game that has brought so much joy to our lives. And this is why we are here today to discuss sports and talk about it. And this is why we're on this platform. But make no mistake about it, this game can break your heart. And it can be a tough pill to swallow. And tonight was an example of that if you are a Bears fan, as my trusty cohort is. So we are here to break down the game. Nevertheless, I'm going to pass it over to Harry to get started. And Harry, what I'm going to ask you to do is give a quick snapshot of the game as the Minnesota Vikings come into Chicago and defeat the Chicago Bears tonight. And the final score is 27-24. Is that correct?
Yeah, 27-24.
That is correct. Okay. And so a very, very hard-fought victory. Give me your quick snapshot. Okay, and then we're going to get into some detail and so forth. But give me a quick snapshot on what you saw tonight.
Man, just a quick snapshot is just for frustration, man. When, I talked about keys to victory yesterday. I think my third point, minimize penalties. I think we had 12 penalties, and I talked specifically about pre-snap penalties, and I think that was just from an execution standpoint, outside of that first drive, that came back to bite us, killed a lot of drives offensively, got us off schedule, and, piggybacking into the, what makes this Ben Johnson offense go, the ability to run the football. And I tried to convince myself, and, I'm thinking through our running back situation, and it was clearly evident we were playing with one arm tied behind our back today. We were hoping that rookie Kyle Monangai could come in and step in and help, run the football. And that quickly went away in that first quarter, where you start to see DJ Moore line up more and more back there at running back, right? And this style of offense requires, you saw it with Detroit, Sonic and Hedgehog power, mixed with the speed. And from a running the ball standpoint, we got out of whack, and we were super pass heavy in that first half. We leaned, the defense came out like gangbusters, and I thought they played a hell of a game. We talked about Dennis Allen and what he brought to the table. We talked about Al Harris and what he was bringing to the table with the DBs. And you saw it with the sacks. You saw it with the design of the coverages. We had them completely bottled up in that first half, and we were probably one play away, one drive away on offense from blowing that game open in the first half. But this is we'll get into this a little bit later. You never go broke taking a profit early in the game, So at 3 points we left on the table, I get it. Ben dialed up a great play. Caleb missed it. Maybe this is the growing pains of them, being together and Ben trusting Caleb to make those types of decisions, to be aggressive. But when you look at these closely fought divisional games, 3-point means a lot, and in the moment it feels super intense and it feels like, hey, we got to go. But sometimes the right call is to take your points and come back and keep the positive momentum, going in your favor. And from that moment on, offensively, once we missed that fourth and three, we never got back on track, until later in the ball game. Um, the second half was, I'm laughing because we nailed all of this stuff, man. Kevin O'Connell, right? He goes in, he gets about, I wonder, it was 20 minutes real time to settle down JJ McCarthy. And offensively, I got to tip my hat to him. Masterful game plan. We helped him along the way. Um, the missed field goal, I'll fast forward a little bit. Cairo Santos and our special teams unit let us down big time today. Uh, we came out the first half super aggressive, and then we go into the second half, and in the midst of that first half, Caleb missed probably 4 to 5 what I call shot plays that Ben Johnson got frustrated with them, and you can see even coming out of the half, I think we might have spent 20 less than 20 seconds on the field. It was bang bang bang, and we went 3 and out, and all of those plays were conservative, dead in the water plays would have been with a against a Brian Flores defense. We didn't challenge him, and that held true throughout that whole entire third quarter, where your offense gave us nothing. We leaned on our defense a little bit too much. We finally got some momentum to get to that field goal. Cairo Santos got a 50-yarder, and he misses that kick. There was a phantom holding. I thought, right, that's called a snatch technique. And if you guys, this is floating on X right now, but it changed the complexity of the drive. But that's football. He snatched the defensive lineman down and pancaked them a little bit, and they called holding, and it got us off schedule. And then we had an intentional ground, and next thing you know, it's 3rd and 30, and we put up the quick 12-yard gain as a kids to line up for that 50-yard field goal. 17-6, we missed the kick, and from that moment on, they boat race us. The field completely tilted on their end. They brought in Mason. We talked about Mason. They found a lot of soft spots in our defense, and they got the run game going. And what does Kevin O'Connell do when he get that run game going? Now he can open up that play action. He can open up, his passing attack. And we had Justin Jefferson pretty bottled up. And I honestly think that first McCarthy touchdown, I think he just took a wow. That was a tight window throw. And if he meant to throw it that way, then I tip my hat to him. But I really think he just took a risk, and it worked out. He threw a great, kind of low fast ball. Justin Jefferson comes down with it. And I feel like we never really recovered off of that missed kick and touchdown. And that puts the game at 12-17. And sprinkle in between all of that is the penalties, the sloppiness on the defense and the offense. I do feel there were a bunch of calls, though, and this is where the refs assert themselves, and I absolutely hate it. A hands to the face, that was ticky-tack. We had a guy who caught a pass and, wasn't touched and attempted to get up, and we punched the ball out. They say he was, ruled down by contact, so we lose a timeout. And, those plays add up, and it's a part of the game, so I'm not going to cry about it. But when your special teams unit, and Richard Hightower is our special teams coach, and that's probably the absolute worst I've seen that his outfit look since he's been here. Every punt looked like it could have been blocked. It was just a matter of time, and they finally blocked the punt. And then when I look at, Cairo Santos, if your kicker, with there's 2 minutes and 2 seconds left, and we need you to put this ball in the back of the end zone or angle it and save 2 seconds so we get that 2-minute timeout, which is pivotal. and you can't do it, that's where you start to look at and say, is the juice worth the squeeze? If you got a field goal kicker who already has a weak leg and he's missing his field goals and he's not giving you, the executionary plays just as a special teams unit, I think that's something we're going to have to take a look into. Uh, McCarthy gets it on track. O'Connell dials up a beautiful play to Jones, man, isolated on a linebacker, acts like he's going to run an out route. He heads to the end zone, and McCarthy throws another dime ball, and that play broke our backs, and we got down further in that game, like I said, with them driving when we were desperate, and they run a read option with McCarthy, and young athletic kid, he finds his way to the bumps his head on the goalpost, and now we end up losing a game that I feel like we were in total control of. So it's a deflating loss. I had to take a moment just to let it process, because as a Bears fan, we've been through this so much, snatching defeat from the jaws of victory and putting ourselves in situations where this game should have been over. The way we were dominating, the way we were leaning on them, you got them at home. It's unacceptable. And I think one of the few silver linings is Ben Johnson and this team's going to have to grow up fast, very, very quickly, because this is an unforgiving league. Nobody cares. McCarthy, all of these other quarterbacks in the division, the Lions, I saw Campbell's press conference today, and he's like, yeah, we got to win. We 0-1. Now we limping, not limp, but two teams licking their wounds going into a desperation game in week 2 to keep from going down 0-2. And it just so happens to be one of the most physical teams of your division, right? So in the matter of 14 days, no, really, 7 days, we on the verge of being 0-2 in the division, right? So how desperate is that?
Yeah, no doubt. Well, nice rundown. You covered a lot.
Yeah.
But let's kind of break this into these 4 quarters and kind of snapshot these 4 quarters, so we can kind of look at some of the highlights there as we get through. Once again, to recap, this is a recap of the Monday Night Football game between the Minnesota Vikings and Chicago Bears. Minnesota goes into Chicago and defeats the Bears 27-24. Really a tale of two halves. And so quickly, let's get into the first quarter. And what I saw was a fast start for Chicago, a sharp start for Chicago, a drive for Chicago that goes right down the field. They execute. It looks like the relationship between Rome Odunze and Caleb Williams is strong. They move in, they score and go up 7-0. And it looks like the defense is also playing with an edge. So it looks like the Bears are off to a good start. They're at home. They got a lot of energy, and they're playing well in the first quarter. And really the only thing I saw that kind of jumped out in the first quarter that was kind of, an issue, which later on became an issue, is, they had a couple of drives that looked like they were going somewhere and they could have stalled because of some pre-snap penalties that kind of put you behind the chain. And they made 10 yards on 3 plays, but you needed 15 because of the penalty. So,
right,
you know what I mean?
Right.
So that was the only thing that I saw early on. That first quarter, would you see on your end? Was it pretty much something similar to that?
No, very similar to that. And, the pre-snap penalties, that's been, troubling us all, preseason and in camp. All of the beat reporters, everyone who's been, Ben Johnson, the coaching staff has talked about the importance of, getting in and out of the huddle and being able to, execute the play with the right motions, with the correct snap counts, all that. And like I said, you and I both played from a precision standpoint. In order for these plays to work, that has to be in place. And when it's hard enough trying to get the 10 yards, and when you consistently, add on top, yards on top of that against, again, Minnesota, they went 14-3 for a reason, whatever they win. I think last year they understand, and on that defense, the metrics show if they get you the first and 15, you're probably off the field, 60 to 70% of the time you won't make a first down, right? It's a drive killer. So from my perspective, you were spot on. Quick start. Caleb was taking what the defense gave him, and I think the reality of, from my perspective, of his performance in that on that first drive was careful. And he mentioned it. He said, "I'm gonna be a point guard," and he wasn't taking too many risks with the ball. I thought he played very well within the pocket. He did look very well. He looked coached up as far as how he manipulated the pocket, how he handled that, and made some plays outside the pocket. The wrong one, and like I said, ended up punching the ball in the end zone, scrambling back out to his left off a broken play. So that's what I saw in that first quarter.
First quarter. Okay. And the end of the first quarter, the score was 3-0. So Chicago gets an early
7-3, right? Because we scored in that first quarter. So
7-3. You score in the first quarter, and then they kick a field goal. So you go into the second quarter 7-3. And then it looks like in the second quarter things kind of settle down. Both teams kind of hit their stride, and there was kind of like some defensive plays there. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but Odebayo.
Deo Odibango, yeah.
Odibango.
Yeah.
That dude's a player now. Okay,
right.
That guy can play, man. Number 55, right? Yeah. Both 50. But matter of fact, both 55s showed their ass tonight. Okay. I don't know what was up with the double nickels, but they had it going on both sides, right? So, going into the second quarter, I thought the Bears flexed their defense. McCarthy was struggling. He was, not being able to move the ball. They were not running the ball well. Jordan or Jones were not really getting much there. They were struggling, maybe 2.5, 3 yards a carry, if that.
Right.
I saw Tremaine Edmonds make a beautiful play. Deshaun Wright had a penalty, but then again, he made some plays too. So he's a young player, he's in his 5th year, but he's under that wing of Al Harris, who was at Dallas, and he's a long range. He's 6'4", 200-pound corner. But he's getting his chance because of some injuries, and he was trying to hold his own. The pre-snap penalties cost you some drives. Chicago, Minnesota was hanging in there. You guys got another field goal. Chicago got another field goal, and then right before halftime, Minnesota puts together a drive and executes that drive and puts that in for a long field goal. And it's 10-6 at that point, and it feels like it should have been more.
Definitely.
Do you see it that way going into halftime?
Oh yeah, and that entire second quarter, I don't need to see the all 22, but there was 4 or 5, like I said, I call them, explosive plays that we left out, on the field, where either Caleb didn't pull the trigger or he missed. Eyes in the wrong place, eyes a little late. And you recapped it well. I won't regurgitate what you just said, but I think the big piece coming out of that second quarter is the fact that they were 0 for 6, I think, at one point on third downs.
Wow.
So when I say we left a lot of meat on the bone, I mean, I get the nerves. I get you making mistakes, but at some point, when you get that many bites at the apple,
Yep.
You would think the defense,
Yep.
you would think your offense would cash some of that in, and we never, we never broke that game open like we should
Never
have.
do.
Yeah, so it was unfortunate, and then right before the half, the defense give up, one deep crosser, and they get in the field goal
Yep.
range, and it feels like the defense let us down, and that's when I knew deep in my soul, I said, you know what? If I feel this way, I'm in trouble, because they play they play so well, and
Yeah.
I'm lamenting. I'm how can we let that happen? And I'm like, man, they didn't turn their water off the whole first half, and it's just a weird play where O'Connell sends the field goal unit team out there thinking it was probably a 55 yarder, and they
Yeah.
pushed the ball back 4 yards, and any other team, if that would have been us, our field goal would have came, it have hit the crossbar and came back
Yeah.
over.
Still
Somehow
maybe.
Reichert his nails, man. He hits every
And
inch of
we
that
talked
ball and
about
it
it.
goes right through. Yeah,
We
yeah,
talked about it pregame in the pregame in the preview that they got a solid field goal kicker,
correct.
and they're they're up front is good. They're going to have a lot of holes up front, and that field goal kicker is good. We can never predict how special teams will play in the first game, but that started to really change the difference. And for everyone to understand, in football, there's 3 phases: offense, defense, special teams. In order to win a game, you probably need to win 2/3. Okay, it can be
Yeah.
defense and special teams. It can be offense and defense. It can be whatever the combination, offense, special teams. But if you don't win 2/3 of those categories, you're probably going to lose.
Right.
And
yeah,
that was the wild card here. Once the thing got to go, so we go to halftime. They're celebrating the '85 Bears, and you should have known that was a
I'm
bad
so
omen
tired.
right
I'm
there.
so tired of that. I'm so
Look, we don't
tired
even
of it.
look. I know that.
I'm
I know
so
that.
tired
That's
of
like,
it.
bro. Like, let's let the '85 Bears,
At
go
some
right.
point, no disrespect, we're gonna be holding these ceremonies from the retirement home.
It
We're gonna
is,
be
man. It is. It
guys
is.
eat
It is.
applesauce, and
Yep.
at some point we got to let that go. I
Yep.
know, for me, I'm looking to the future, but again, I see Mike Singletary holding up the trophy,
Yeah.
and all it did was make me even angrier that
Yep.
we
It's
don't
been
have
so long.
anything. It's been so long. I was
Yeah.
a 5-year-old little boy, the
Yep.
last time I got a chance to see us hoist that Lombardi. So talk about salt in the wound, man. It was just one of them things where it's something that I should be celebrating it, but we
Yeah.
celebrate them so much
Yeah.
that I couldn't even account. I'm like, what are we even celebrating? Like
Yeah.
I couldn't even. Was it the 40th anniversary? Whatever it was.
Yeah.
I was so, like I said, put off by it that let's give these guys a break, man. We pulling them up every year.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man. I know that feeling because the Cowboys is the only team that people celebrate them not winning. They can't wait to do it. The Cowboys don't make it to the Super Bowl, don't make it to the NFC Championship. It's like the Miami Dolphins. Whenever a team lose one game, and they popping open champagne. So I know that feeling.
Hey, man, the
So
team's getting smaller and smaller. That's what's making it worse too.
yeah,
10 years ago, we got 70 guys standing up there now.
yeah.
Standing up there now, we got 35. So
My God,
let's
man.
let them rest,
I'm
man.
literally just looking. I was like, dude, is he still alive? Is he still around? Is he still around? And so that's a tough one. So anyway, second half, we're not gonna belabor that anymore. Second half, we go out and man, this was the longest third quarter. I mean, God, it just seemed like it just went on and on and on.
Yeah,
And then when Deshaun Wright gets to pick 6 on, Justin Jefferson of all people. I mean, he undercuts him beautifully and takes it to the house.
beautiful.
I'm like, dude, this thing is about to unravel. I saw it, man. The crowd was going crazy. You come down and you pin them on a kickoff, and you're up 17-6, and Minnie was Minnesota just reeling. The defense was flexing, big hits, and it just went sideways
Mm-hmm.
because that first half seemed like Chicago was about to bury Minnesota. But
Mm-hmm.
then I looked down and in my notes, I got three series here. Okay. There was a drive and a missed field goal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then that missed field goal gave Minnesota good field position.
Short
And
field.
they had a short field. They put together a drive and go and score a touchdown. And then
Right.
they come down and make a special teams play and a big hit on special teams. That dude 55, man, my
Yeah.
goodness.
And we talk about that field, that tilt of the field. For those that didn't play old momentum,
Yeah,
it's unfaithful,
yeah,
and we had it rolling. And if I'm, and we all been players, I think there was a level of, but man, when that kick goes off the side of that right crossbar, I think
yeah.
they really looked up and they like, we still got a shot, man.
Still got a shot. Even at
We
17 to
played the
6.
worst. Yeah, we played the worst we've ever played.
Yep.
That we've done nothing right, and
Yep.
these guys are literally begging us to get back in this game.
And
So
there
what do
was
they need?
still like 9 minutes
Yeah,
left in the game. That's what I was talking in the
correct,
third quarter. I was like,
correct.
dude, it feels like this game is over and it's not even close. There's
Not even
so much
close.
time left. And I think,
Right.
one of my coaches used to always say there's a 2-minute stretch in which a game is won or lost. And it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter if it could be the first 2 minutes, it could be right
Mm-hmm.
before halftime, it could
Mm-hmm.
be in the middle of the third quarter. To me, that stretch where you had the missed field goal, the drive for the touchdown, and then you get a
Mm-hmm.
special teams play and pin y'all back and get a stop.
Mm-hmm.
That stretch right there is what flipped this whole game. And then Minnesota looked up and said, man, we got enough time to get the fourth quarter was just getting ready to start, and they was back in
Mm-hmm.
the game.
Right. And
I
this
just
and
it was so weird, man.
yeah, and this is and this is the every a bunch of football games go this way, right? We just
Yeah,
saw a whole slate of NFL games that there's going to be momentum going to both sides, and
yeah,
this is where I'm going to be critical. That's why you go get the big fish. That's why you go get Ben Johnson to
yeah,
answer, and all right, let's get us back settled. Even if you
yeah,
flip the field, even if you get 3 points, we
yeah,
went dead in the water that whole third quarter.
yeah.
We buttoned it up, and we got to a point where we had exhaled, and when that momentum and that switch flipped, we went through an 8-minute stretch where we just lost our way. And again, I'm gonna be highly critical of, we've invested finances, cap, and draft picks on that offensive side of the ball.
On the
You got a
offensive
top
line, dude,
offensive line.
we've talked about this.
Yeah.
That the offensive line, I wrote that down. I could
Mm-hmm.
not believe how leaky the offensive line got on the second half. We talked about Jonathan Allen and
Mm-hmm.
Hargrave. They're dudes now. They're dudes.
Mm-hmm.
They got some dudes over there, no doubt about it. But this was not a situation where Brian Flores had Caleb Williams seeing ghost. He didn't look
Mm-hmm.
like he was confused. And when it
Mm-hmm.
came down to it, he wasn't like just throwing the ball into harm's way. He was running for his damn life in certain instances where he had the line was leaking. I could not believe that.
But the and you nailed it. When you invest over $80 million in your interior offensive line,
My
that
God, man, that
you
was
you simply you simplify it, and you start moving bodies, right? Hey,
yeah,
we're gonna run the ball. You
right,
don't go get you don't spend $13 million on Ben Johnson to go dead in the water. And for him to
yeah,
and this is a critical point, and this is the keen eye that we see that everybody else doesn't see, is he put the handcuffs on Caleb Williams. He lost trust in Caleb, right? And
uh,
instead of leaning into his play calls and trusting him and say, all right, Caleb, again, I don't we done went through it in practice. We've gone over it. This was the first time real bullets started to fly. and he saw his soldier get a little shell shocked, and he missed some, missed some things, and he overcorrected, and he went safe. And that's not Ben Johnson. We lost our identity in that third quarter. And hey, you can't be going for it on fourth down in the first quarter, and then when the game tightens up a bit, you shell up and you lose trust. And I do say this the Bears Nation, listen to me close. We don't want to hear it, right? It's tough. It's a tough pill for us to swallow, that this is going to take a little time for them to start trusting each other and growing.
Mm-hmm.
But I guarantee when they get in the office tomorrow, he's going to show Caleb, 10 to 12 plays that he missed. And Caleb is going to talk to him about that third quarter where he's like, I just don't like what you called. I could look at Caleb's body language, and it's not, scared. It was daddy,
Conservative.
Daddy saw me drive down the street, and he saw me almost hit that curb, and he saw me, kind of, turn in a little too fast, and give me the keys back.
Yeah.
I thought you were good. Give me the keys back. And
they were winning, so they were like, let's the defense is playing well. No, let's reel this in and win.
And that's the antithesis of Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson is an aggressive guy. You can't lose as a coach. The moment you switch from what you say you are, the players feel it instantly. So you see it on Caleb's face. You see it on DJ Moore's face. You see it on Rome Odunze. No, Rome Odunze is a top 10 pick. He has to grow up. Has to. I don't want to hear it. Every other top 10 receiver is making splash plays. We got Caleb Williams, who's the number one quarterback in the draft. He has to grow up. Those are the moments. You don't pick those guys at, 1 and 10 to shell up. You don't pick Colston Loveland at 10 when you had other players there that could impact the game.
Yeah,
Colston Loveland is nowhere game plan. Yeah, you're not even using them.
Yeah, he caught one pass and he was witness protection after that. So that's just
witness protection. You don't have DJ Moore out there, who's your number one guy, who you can't find a way to get the ball in his hands. You don't have, Zacchaeus from Washington, who's a route technician.
And he looked. I like the way he played, man. He looked solid. He looked really good, man.
Yeah. So this is where I get highly critical. Ben Johnson, we brought you here for a reason. We invested in the interior with 3 tough SOBs that's supposed to change the game. Yep. We got weapons everywhere. The last thing we should be talking about is not lack of execution, but conservative calls and you shelling up and not trusting these guys.
Now, you know what I want to say, right? when you are the offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions, and you come in and you're supposed to be biting kneecaps, and everybody got you playing with house money. It's easy to go for it on fourth down over and over. Right. When you slide over one seat, they talk about an NBA. When you slide over one seat from the coordinator to the head person, and all of a sudden you feel that pinch about deciding if you want to go for it, deciding if you want to keep the press on, you want to put your defense in an advantageous position or in a disadvantageous position. If you don't get it, the consequences is a lot tougher. That pucker factor is a lot tougher. And you can see he was pondering making those decisions. And he probably said, my defense is playing well. We should be able to hold these guys off. Don't push it. Don't push it. But it also took the steam out of your offense, and they started to get flat, and they could not get off the mat, man. I mean, you could see it, and you saw it. That's what you're talking about. That's exactly what you're referring to.
Yeah, and it's and the 3 phases, when we're talking to our listeners, the 3 phases, the offense, the defense, and the special teams, is dynamic. It's constantly shifting and going up and down, right? So just because you were, you bested them in the first quarter, the first half, that doesn't mean that they can't flip it, right?
Because they're still out there trying. They still playing hard and making adjustments, and they still got plenty of juice in the tank, to fight you, and they're not just giving up. I think people think of a team as outplaying another team, like you're saying, that means that the other team isn't playing hard or not trying, or they just don't have it. No, they're
Right.
trying it. Well, something you're doing is working, but that does
Mm-hmm.
not mean that they can't solve that or fix that or adjust to that. And all of a sudden it's not working anymore for you and you have to adjust again. It's constantly, because
Right.
the amount of effort that's put out is so high.
And the game is so quick, right? So we talk about all three phases, right? So let's talk about it. 50-yard field goal gets missed, right? So
Yep.
your special teams, they were here. Now theirs
Yep.
just went here. Their
Yep.
offense was here. They drive down and they get a score. So now they're here. The
Yep.
defense comes out and they were about even. They were
Yeah.
holding serve, and
Yeah.
they come out and get a 3-and-out stop. Now they go here. And in
Yep.
a matter of 2 minutes, all three of their phases just trumped all three of ours, right?
And you're not in the score isn't big enough. We just saw Buffalo and Baltimore last night. It
Right.
ain't never enough, bro.
No.
That
No.
game was over. You
Right.
down 15 points with 5 minutes left in the game against a team
Mhm.
like Baltimore. The way they can run the ball, this game is over. And that was not enough time. But that was they ran out of they didn't had enough time to come back. So Minnesota
Mhm.
was still in it. You
Right.
know.
And that's the space of, I know I'm not going to say there's anywhere near a good loss, but there's a lesson in all of them. And last year we played against the Titans and we pulled out a game in the opposite fashion. We Levis throws us you know, a gift interception, and we end up playing terrible the whole game, and we basically do what they did to us last year, and it kind of got us off to some what I call some false uh, hope,
Mm,
and got us in some bad habits. The silver
mm,
lining here is, the coaching that's going to happen over the next 2 to 3 days is going to determine how this season goes. And it sounds very dramatic, and I want it to sound dramatic because it's the reality. You go down 0-2 in a division within 7 days,
mm-hmm,
and you're digging out a hole the rest of the way, right?
mm-hmm.
So if you guys didn't think that the split, for the wide receiver, if you think that half yard didn't matter, if you think that, that block and that false start didn't matter, Caleb, if you think, missing that 4th and 3 didn't matter, and Ben Johnson in the first quarter, if you think, like you said, some of those decisions that you're making doesn't matter, no, everybody's on high notice and alert that this stuff
Mm.
matters, right?
Yep.
And even with all that said, um, the the reality is we got to go to Minnesota. Now we got to go on the road, right? To try to even this thing up.
Yeah.
That's that's our 6th or 7th straight home loss. All off season we talk about righting that ship and winning at home. And again, on tomorrow, the first thing you open up with is this stuff matters, guys. We
Yep.
told you, we pushed it, we coached it, and until you guys make a decision to say we're not going to beat ourselves, a missed field goal that's not blocked or you're not executed, when you just miss it, that's beating yourself. When you block a punt, you get a punt block, that's beating yourself. When you again um, have the weapons, and I thought Swift played damn great, man. Everybody was so
Yep.
down on Swift, and he played a hell of a game. But we come into this game, and he was tired. He was wore out, right? So we got to look at what we're doing from a roster composition standpoint and say, hey, do we have the right 53 out here for what we're trying to do?
Yeah.
And I
Well, I
just
mean,
saw
you had.
I just saw the Eagles go get Tank, and I wanted him Bigsby from Jacksonville, and the rich get richer, you know. And now we sitting here with a rookie running back. We better get him ready very quickly, or we're in trouble. DJ Moore almost got his shoulder broken in half today. He can't play running back, and he
Yeah.
can't run Swift 35 times. That's not what he does. So
Nope.
we got a lot of things to solve in the next 6 days.
Yeah, the Eagles always getting somebody. That's the second player they didn't sign there last week, right? You would think
Man,
they lost, man.
Zadarius Smith, man, Bigsby.
Yeah.
I still, for some reason, they don't operate under a cap, and they got
No, they don't have a
unlimited
cap. No.
draft picks. And
Yep.
I still don't understand how all this stuff works. And at some point, you and I are going to drive up to New York and break down and bust down the NFL
Yeah.
offices and demand to see, this Wizard of Oz who's back here, you know, gifting them all these trades and unlimited resources to keep enhancing a roster that's they don't even have any more space, man, for talent.
Look, we don't make any bones about it here. We aren't fans of the Philadelphia Eagles. Shout out to Rico.
Rico, grabbing and he's somewhat grabbing and clutching in his sleep right now.
Let's get to the fourth quarter and wrap this up, brother. The penalties in the fourth quarter, it got bad, and the tide had already started to turn here.
Yeah.
McCarthy got his legs up under him. I couldn't believe the way the offensive line, we just talked about it, the way they got so leaky, and they just couldn't run the ball at that point when you needed to be able to establish something to close this game out, to kind of reestablish yourself and kind of focus, and it just unraveled. And I think, like you said, the special teams, like the hidden yards, the punt that got blocked. The hidden yards with the giving up the 2-point conversion after you give a touchdown. So not only you give it the touchdown, you give it a 2-point conversion. That's a special teams play. I mean, I know it's a defense, but it's still a special teams score. And so it just felt like, the two things that Chicago kind of had under control, they just lost it. And they couldn't get back on track with that. And McCarthy just got stronger and stronger. And that's O'Connell. That's him, coaching him up and finding a way. That's the power of Justin Jefferson and his ability to just be dominant. And no matter how much you put pressure on him, at some point, that dam is going to break and he's going to get you, once or twice. And then Jones. I saw Jones at the end, make plays. Also, he scored a touchdown in the fourth quarter. He's a dangerous dude, man. He's been a pain in my ass for a long time. I love his stat. I wish he was with Dallas. I love his game as a running back. I really love his game, but man,
he's so unique, man. He's so unique. I think that again, I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna be very clear. These coaches got a lot of ego too. So Kevin O'Connell is, best in the business. Best in the business, right?
He really is great, man.
He really is great. And at some point, he was able to hold together a fragile, quarterback. And I say fragile in the sense of not him being mentally fragile, but it was just and we've all played the game. Well, most of us have probably played in, some sort of sport. When things aren't going well, it's very easy for you to, to try to pack it in and kind of go, woe is me, on a stage that bright, on a stage that amplified.
Young quarterback.
He did the opposite of what Ben Johnson did to Caleb. He breathed life into him through his play calling. He's dialing things up.
I trust you. I believe in you.
I believe in you. I'm not taking the ball out your hands, man. Let's go. He took that game, and hey guys, come on, and they were damn shorthanded. Outside of Jefferson, Thielen is a shell of himself. Naylor isn't a marquee guy over there, so let's not not give credit to O'Connell and McCarthy for their mental toughness and what they did in that that fourth quarter. I will say this though, and this is where we're going to get into the refs. There were a few calls that were so questionable that they impact the game. The job of the ref is difficult, but for us, when that field started to tilt and that momentum started to go, we also felt the impacts of some, what I thought were some poor calls by the referee. Um, uh, Day out, that hands to the face. You can call that every play. The uh, the
Yeah, the,
pass
the pass
interference,
the pass
the pass
interference.
interference. You can't make that. I
Yeah,
don't
when
think
he
that
yeah when
that you can
he
make
fell
that
down.
call
Yeah,
unless you see him grab him when a guy just falls down. We've seen
yeah,
incidental contact all the time. I think that kind of helped add to, and we've been there before as players. Again, when like you say, everybody fighting their butts off, and you
yeah. It
like,
don't take much to
golly,
tip it.
man, I'm doing everything I can, and even this guy just falling down, you give me a penalty for him being inept in what he's trying to do,
Yep.
and we fought hard, and then you put us in a situation where we had to sell out to stop the run. They started to lather themselves up, and they ran a few plays. Like I said, you just tip your hat to O'Connell. They showed a few blocking schemes, man, where they released the guard to get up to the second level. The tight end came up and knock off the linebacker. Counters, some misdirections to shade block and get guys going, and then on a big play you dial up a running back wheel. I can't even get that play to work in Madden. I run it every game, and I can't get it over the top, and somehow Jones leaks out and McCarthy delivered. He's so wide open, man. It's the perfect time. And we
Jones
had
is
a safe.
dangerous, man.
Jones is dangerous, and he breaks our heart. And from that perspective, it 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 hit me quickly that ain't nobody gonna feel sorry for us, bro. Ain't nobody
Nope,
feeling sorry for us.
nope.
You can
It's
dominate
tough.
a game as much as you want to, and when you get somebody down, you better step on the gas even more.
Yeah,
Because all the Vikings have the firepower to to get back in the game. The Packers have the firepower to get back in the game, and Detroit, uh, they have way more, than enough resources to get back in the game. So again, coachable moment for us. Emotional, loss that you saw. Ben Johnson have to take the training wheels off of Caleb, and guess what happens? The offense comes to life a little bit, right?
yeah,
You start to see us get the ball down the field. Caleb, uh, in my honest opinion, he flows better in rhythm, and in the
yeah.
course of a 2-minute drill.
Yeah,
And
almost like a 2 minute where he likes that kind of frantic, right on the edge of frantic play. You're
correct. And I
correct.
think that's
He
the
doesn't have to think
that's
as
the
much.
yeah, and that's the balance with Ben that I think we're gonna have to get into, to where when we get into some of those moments, Ben's gonna have to be a little bit flexible to say, you know what, golf loves he operated best out of structure.
Yeah,
When Caleb struggles, he doesn't want the defense being able to look at his play for, look at his formation for 20
yeah,
seconds. He want to get on the ball. He want to go tempo.
yep.
I think he thrives well in those situations, and obviously you got to balance the game, and within the
And
game of not losing it, or not putting your defense in a bad situation. But I do think in that moment the defense was reeling, the special team was reeling. We needed a unit to step up,
yeah,
and offensively that came a little too late.
yeah, and Ben's got to be able to trust that Caleb in that situation when he's speeding up the play, more frantic and so forth. Somehow, either Caleb's got to prove it or Ben's got to trust it that he
Hmm.
can go at that pace and not run the offense into the ground, like run them into
Right.
a corner or run them into a
Hmm.
bad play or
Hmm.
an interception and so forth. Because haste can make waste if you don't know what you're doing or if you're
Right.
making bad reads. And so Ben Johnson's like, dude, do you know the offense well enough to be able to go and be frantic like that? I don't know,
Hmm.
but that's the
Hmm.
balance they got to figure out quick because
Right.
he needs a little bit of that, and Ben needs a little bit more of a systematic control to be able to say, okay, I know where you're going with this. We setting them up. It's working good, and that's you can see that struggle back and forth. And then when you're down,
Hmm.
27-17 or whatever the score was at that point, you got no choice with 3 minutes left in the game. So now you have to allow him to do that. So, that's what the fourth quarter looked like, at that point. And so you end up with the final score of 27-24. Really once they got that, once again, you're talking about special teams. The last dagger for special teams is when you need them to pin the ball in the end zone, so you have that extra timeout at the 2-minute warning. The last thing you need to let them do is run the ball out the end zone. And Chicago does not get down to cover on the kickoff, and the guy has enough. The receiver has enough time to sit there, look over at the damn coach, and have him wave him out, and he still got to like the third.
Gave him orders
from a standstill.
Don't get me started on that. And I think this is again, Richard Hightower. I gotta go look up his middle name. Richard Hightower. Get your shit
like
together.
His mom.
Yeah. Get it together, man. Because what you just did was unacceptable, because it wasn't like you were rushed. It wasn't like that. You had plenty of time to coach the situation. How does the whole what are you jogging? What are you possibly waiting on? I should have saw 10 guys in my screen within seconds. If he decided to bring it out, we cracking him at the 5 or the 10.
Yeah, at least you got to pin. You got to pin down.
Now we got you pinned down.
Yeah.
So he catches the ball, 6 yards deep in the end zone, looks over to his right, watches Kevin O'Connell tell him to come out, and then gets the ball to the 30. I'm watching the game, and I thought my YouTube, TV stream froze. I said, "Hold on," he kicked it, but the screen, the feed is frozen. Ain't no way
in the world, bro.
What in the world? And then, I'm already agitated with his unit, and I look up and I said, we didn't lose the special teams, battle. We lost the game.
Yeah.
We literally lost the game there, because if Ben Johnson and it's, I know it's not my money, but Cairo Santos, I've been through this with Cody Parkey, where you see a clear deficiency with your kicker.
Yeah.
And, quiet is kept. A lot of people don't know, and I'm jumping around, so let me refocus. He has a weaker leg, but he's supposed to be extremely accurate, right? If you're missing kicks and you don't have the ability to do some of the things that execute some of the high level, the intricacies of the kicking game from that, viewpoint, then I can't go an entire season. I would rather get somebody who could kick the leather off the ball, and hopefully they get it straight, because Ben Johnson's MO, and this is where we talk about marrying up what you do to what your identity is, and having a weaker leg conservative kicker who 9 times out of 10, you rolling the dice anyway and going for it on fourth down, you're not getting any value out of him, right?
No.
So I'll be on the phone tonight, and I'm looking for every kicker who got cut. I'm serious, who got cut. And you look at it. This is the game now. You can't have a kicker who's not, not going to be able to flip the field, and not going to be able to hit long field goals. That marriage doesn't work for me. And the second piece, a lot of people don't know, a lot of non-Bears fans don't know, we spent a 4th round pick on a punter. So Taylor out of Iowa, punt god, the guy who was the offense for Iowa 2 years ago.
Because they certainly don't have offense at Iowa. We know that the Hawkeyes,
right? They don't have no offense. He was the king of pinning people down. Show me. Something happened. Yeah. Because you don't go from that level of precision to getting to the NFL, and I'm watching you, take 2 and 3 shuffle steps. Every kick, every punt. Go back and watch I watched it. I'm like, man, we getting, dangerously close to getting this ball blocked until it
People
got
don't
blocked.
understand how close it is when you get it. You talking about a block punt or field goal. It is inches. You got to
Inches,
be. It is them. Them dudes are screaming off the edge. That's their only job.
man.
Some of them. They're
The snap,
screaming.
the snap, a little off to the right. His footwork is off. His placement is off. The
Jeez.
capital again. Now I'm looking at you, Ryan Poles. I got to look up Ryan Poles' middle name so I can call him out. You got
That's the
a
general
fourth
manager
round.
for those
Yeah,
listening.
that's our general manager. Now I'll have it for the next one. But yeah, your ideology makes sense. But hell, what's
Everybody.
going on, son? We got a punter who isn't flipping the field, and all of a sudden,
Mm,
every kick was was either blocked or he's kicking to avoid it getting blocked, and it's not.
yep.
I'm looking. Where's our coverage? We giving up the kick returner. How Troy Aikman? He's having quite the day. How?
Yeah. Yeah.
How?
Yeah.
How? Every other
That was
punter
tough, man.
who's off the free agency bin,
That was
I'm
tough.
watching, come out and kick the leather off the ball, and we got a fourth rounder who somehow can't do some of these things. So I'm super disappointed. Richard Hightower, I'm gonna look up your middle name and scream it to the high heavens. I hope the algorithm can, Richard Hightower, do your job and fix that and
uh,
fix our special teams.
you know, there's a guy from Baltimore, Tucker. He's available.
I can't comment on that. You're trying to get me in trouble,
You trying
but
to? I don't want to get us banned from off of here.
I know as soon as this live in, I'm looking to see if he got a.
Tucker's
what's
available.
the the Powers dude, the quarterback they talking about? Put a wig on him or something. busted Rucker, right?
Making a name up. Who's
Yeah,
that?
busted Rucker, the new Bears kicker.
No, man, no. He don't do opera. He don't sing opera.
We'll sing opera over here. No way, man. Hate massages,
uh,
man.
oh man. Okay, so you
Man.
laugh to keep from crying, man. This is a tough one
Yeah,
for us. So both of our teams start off 0-1. We got to see who gets off the snide this week. Our next broadcast will be to discuss next week's Monday night game between the Cowboys and the Giants.
yeah.
That's our next thing. And then for the Bears, you are traveling to or home against the Detroit Lions.
I need to look that up. I
Okay.
should know that.
Yeah.
But either way, yeah, not much time to lament this loss. We got another 2-3 days to get your body right and to mentally get your mind right and get a good game plan to go into Detroit. Uh, the reality is the silver lining there is we got a coach who knows them inside out. So the
Yeah.
preparation time and the a lot of that should be cut in half. Nobody knows the personnel better. Nobody knows the coaching staff better than Ben
Yeah.
Johnson. So
You're traveling. You're going to Detroit. So
yeah, so
you're going to
you
Detroit.
know,
10
a lot of
o'clock West
emotion.
Coast. 10
Mm-hmm.
o'clock West Coast, 12
Yeah,
o'clock Central Time.
a lot of emotion for him. He better get it out of his system quick.
Yeah.
The Lions are coming and they pissed off because he
Yep.
scorned them and he walked out on them and
Yep.
their offense looked as bad as we looked today. We looked 10 times better than they did against the Packers.
Yeah.
And the fans of Detroit, are going to be in a frenzied state. It's our first road game, and if we can't get the pre-snap, you know, um, execution done at home, how can we, right that ship before we get out inside that dome?
Yep.
And we can't hear anything. So from my perspective, at the very core of what we're doing, we have to understand what we're up against, and it's an uphill climb. It's
Yeah.
not going to be
No doubt.
easy, and like I said, I listen to Dan Campbell's, and we know what kind of coach he is. This is a meathead game. This isn't going to be a precision game. This is a
Yeah.
personal. You know,
Yeah.
yeah, you left us, and we coming off a bad loss, and we want to show you made the wrong decision.
Yeah. That's
So
going to be a good one, man. It's going to be a good one.
yeah.
So another good one. And that's the thing. You got no time to recover. It's just time to get back ready and get back on the horse here quick, because it's a short week on a Monday night.
Quick note, Richard Hightower has no middle name. So again,
he already knew. He had one.
Richie,
he got rid of
it.
Hey,
Richie Hightower. I don't know what his nickname is. Maybe Wikipedia tell me that. I didn't even look. But get it together, Rich. Quickly. Fix it.
Oh, man. All right. So we're going to wrap this thing up tonight. Certainly, once again, appreciate your time. As always, please remember to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy this content. This is the H&M Sports Academy. My name is Mo. This is Harry. And we will wrap up for the night. And once again, the Minnesota Vikings defeat the Chicago Bears 27-24. You all have a great evening, and we'll be seeing you here early next week when we start to preview next week's game to start to get this bad taste out of our mouth. All right. Until then, y'all have a good night, and thank you once again.
All right.